Happy Thursday. Welcome to another wonderful episode of Making an Impact with myself, the foe, Cody Defoe, and my wonderful partner in crime, the natural.
Dang it. I messed that up.
I actually got it right this time. I had to think about it, but I got it right.
Dang it. I keep thinking I'm on the other side. Sorry.
How are you tonight, Astrid?
I'm tired, exhausted, had a long day, but thank goodness for good wrestling tonight at least. How are you?
It was a great show to wind down after a very long and stressful day. Welcome to everybody in the chat with us. Bobby, Joe, Parrish, thank you for joining us. We're here to discuss some wonderful happenings on the road to Overdrive. Should we kick it off? We should kick it off, right?
Yes.
We should kick it off the way they kicked it off with a fantastic free giveaway match on YouTube before the Impact. Yuya Uemura versus PJ Black in the opening round of the X Division tournament. This match absolutely should have been on a main card anywhere. It was great. It was up in the air the entire way as to who I thought was going to win it. They put on a fantastic back and forth, including some spots that scared the crap out of me. Uemura took a moonsault still standing and basically just sat into it. Never seen that before, and I was kind of concerned for his spine, the way it looked he took that move. What did you think of the match?
Yeah, overall, it was pretty good. I kept thinking, and I like how they played it off commentary and the way I was thinking too. They kept highlighting, it's like, PJ Black's a veteran and Yuya is just a young lion. So it's just like they have like contrast in the careers, and they keep pointing that out and pointing it out. And I also liked how they kept just giving back to us. Just whoever wins, this is going against Black Taurus. So they were giving us a like preview as well as like, the whatever you're seeing here, one of them is going to go on to Black Taurus next week, if I'm not mistaken. So I did like that part of the story, and I like how they, got the work at bringing it. I was like, yeah, we just want you to have that highlight, even as a young lion, to have this kind of highlight, especially against PJ Black, who you didn't recognize as Justin Gabriel, which I thought was funny. But other than that, it was good.
Nothing at all like him. I even looking at him now, knowing that he was Justin Gabriel, I'm like, how is this the same man?
I don't know either. I keep thinking of like how he used to look. So when I see him now, he looks like a totally different person to me. If I saw him, I would have recognized him either way. But yeah, I love the action between these two. I agree with you. This should have been on the main card though. Like when I was watching it, I was just so focused on it, which I loved in the match.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great match. I think it's my favorite match to this point of the tournament. I did take a note because Scott D'Amore was on commentary, as he was last week for the X Division match on the BTI as well. And at the very beginning of the match, he said something that caught my ear when he called Yuya Uemura the future ace. And for anyone familiar with New Japan, the ace of New Japan right now is Hiroshi Tanahashi and has been for a really long time. So to give somebody like Uemura the nod as the future ace is a big praise by Scott D'Amore, and possibly putting his foot in his mouth. But I think Uemura definitely has shown a lot of promise in his time as a young lion, and now out on excursion, that he's somebody that probably has a very, very long and bright future in the Japanese wrestling scene.
Yeah, and I think if I'm not mistaken, it was Scott D'Amore too, how he kept pointing out that PJ Black was a former GFW champion, and then he just started laughing when he said it too. I thought that was funny.
I mean, mentioning that it was nice to bring him back. I definitely didn't expect PJ Black to pick up the win in this, though. I went back and forth a couple of times throughout the match, but it definitely just felt like PJ Black was somebody that was brought back for a one-off, kind of to put over Uemura and then kind of go on his way again. So for him to actually stick around now and have this match and the next match, really interested to see how that's going to play out next week against Black Taurus. What are you thinking of PJ winning and of the match against Black Taurus next week?
Yeah, I kept going back and forth in between when the match was happening. At first I was thinking it's PJ Black, that's it. And then as you just kept going on with the match, I just kept thinking, no, I mean, it won't be so bad if he does it. But I kept thinking, do I want him to die against Black Taurus next week when it happens? So I was in between. So I was still surprised when PJ Black won, even though he was my first pick. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how he plays out with Black Taurus next week, though. That thing that I want to see if they have any chemistry to begin with.
Yeah, no, and that finish that he hit was something very unique to the modified crucifix bomb, where he just kind of laid out into it, was something I've never seen before, but looked really good the way he hit it.
Yeah.
Once the match finished and we actually got onto the main show, we opened before the intro with a segment of Eddie Edwards standing out in the desert, ranting and raving, calling for PCO to meet him in the desert. This is not where I thought we were going with this. It played out for a few different segments throughout the first hour. We'll kind of just leave it at that, I think, right now, unless you have anything specific to say about this, and we'll touch on the whole Eddie and PCO story as it plays out, and then get to it once we actually get to the way it finished.
Mm-hmm.
So we got the Open, and then we go right into the other X Division tournament first round match, Kenny King versus Speedball Mike Bailey. First things first, Kenny King coming out to the Return of the King music was something surprising but fitting that we haven't really touched on Kenny's story coming out of Honor No More yet, but for him to have Return of the King playing instead of the Honor No More theme really stood out as the kind of the turning the page. And this is Kenny King as Kenny King now. He's no longer attached to anybody else. Where were you on this match? I guess the Open, the competitors, the way it went.
Yeah, I kept thinking that just what we went back to talking about a few weeks ago, just like I felt like Kenny was always in the background when it came to Honor No More. And I'm not saying he's lacking any confidence, but I feel like having maybe him and his theme song and having come out the way he did, I feel like he had more confidence than usual from what I've seen him. So that's what the way I kind of got from him, the vibe. But overall, I love the match between these two. It was so good. I gotta say, just unlike you, I hadn't seen a lot of Speedball before Impact Wrestling. So just every time I watch it, I get so impressed with him and everything he does. Like, what the freaking guy! I can't stand it. He does so much and so well, and his speed is incredible. But yeah, there was moments that they had that back and forth, and I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, Kenny was doing a move, and just the way that Speedball would just reverse it back to him, it was amazing. And I love how they pointed out too, is like, Speedball doesn't get a rematch the way most people would have done after losing a championship. And instead of getting kind of like a buy-in towards the tournament, he's fighting his way back in to get that championship. And I thought about that when he was doing his entrance. I thought, well, that's interesting, because if it was like maybe perhaps AEW, he would have had the buy-in, being that he was a former champion that lost the championship in that sort of way, in this circumstance, because it's kind of special and different in a way. So I thought it was interesting how they pointed that out, just like, he's fighting his way back in, because that's what Speedball does. He doesn't get any shortcuts, kind of thing. So I thought that was interesting how they pointed that out. And after the finish, I love having the reaction from both of them when Speedball wins. To just like, neither of them could believe it, which I thought was pretty cool too.
Yeah, just touching on that about Speedball and not getting his rematch, I liked how they played it out, that he didn't get it. He should have had it, but because of Frankie using the option C, he didn't get it. But they also made a point to bring up Speedball's not here complaining about it. He's not upset or saying, I should have had my rematch, I deserve a rematch, like this is BS, like some people may do. He's just going back and fighting his way back to it the same way he got there in the first place, and the same thing he did while he was champion, that he's willing to go out and beat everybody he needs to get there. But the finish as well, just the way Speedball kind of dominated on his rise to the top the last time, and for this match to come out and Kenny King to hold his own, and for it to be a very evenly matched bout between them the entire way through. I felt like they had spurts where they were really fast and really crisp and really clean, but I also felt there were some slower moments in the match where it was a little bit more methodical or drawn out, but in the way that kind of played out, where you could see them kind of standing or like setting up a move. One that specifically played out for me was Speedball when he was coming back in through the ropes and kind of jumped into the move, and he kind of hovered for a little bit, waiting as Kenny kind of set up for him to be able to catch and roll through it. Always kind of a little bit critical myself of when you can see those spots playing out. I know it's not a perfect art or anything like that in the ring. It does play out like that sometimes. Just I'm a big fan of the crisp and high speed wrestling that I really watch for when they can do it in a way that you can't necessarily see something coming a minute ahead of time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I guess kind of touching on the same as we did with the other match, Speedball versus Trey Miguel. We've seen this now a couple different times. Trey Miguel holds the only actual victory over Speedball before Frankie, back before Speedball actually went on his run to the title. And now Speedball holds one back over Trey while he was champion. So we're getting kind of the rubber match between the two of them. Any thoughts on where we could see this going with those two guys next week?
When I kept thinking of that, it's like, why am I supposed to choose between these two? How? Why? What do I have to choose? Like, I love both of them. I'll be happy either way, but I don't know who to pick if I were to say, oh, this is the person advancing. I really can't pick it, and that's what I like about this between these two, because that part can make it a little bit unpredictable for me, and I love that though at the same time. But I don't know who to pick right now. I'm torn.
Yeah. We even got the tease of it when Frankie first showed up with the title, right, in the backstage segment where both Trey and Speedball approached Frankie about the title. So be really interesting. I feel like this match, unless we're in for a really big surprise in this tournament, I almost feel like this match is the match where you'd expect the winner of Trey and Speedball to be the one who walks away with the title at the end of this tournament. So looking forward to it. It should be a spectacular match. Both men have put on fantastic title reigns in the last year and a half. So either way it goes, we're in for a strong main event for sure.
Yeah.
Once we finish this match, we got a brief segment backstage with Motor City Machine Guns and Josh Alexander. Sabin and Shelley talking to Josh about their experience in Dallas against Aussie Open earlier this year. And then Sabin specifically deciding, well, everybody else is in your ear about Bully Ray. So here, let me throw this in that I beat him for this title, but don't trust him. And Alex Shelley, like, oh yeah, I beat the Dudley boys or Team 3D in the tag team match where loser retires. And did they retire? Nope.
Like, do wrestlers really retire? So it's not just them.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. When I thought about that, I was like, well, how many people have you heard that actually retired and then came back later in some way, shape, or form?
I mean, even the Undertaker and Ric Flair's retirement matches didn't actually retire them.
So I'm just saying.
Or Shawn Michaels too, when he was retired and came back for that big money payday.
Yeah, so I don't believe any retirement speeches. I may cry when I hear them, but I don't believe it.
They're all pink salmon jackets in the end. Coming out of this, we have, I think we went to a commercial break and then came back to Giselle Shaw walking through the back corridor, handing out photos of herself with the title belt from last week. And she comes up and hands one to Chelsea and Deanna. And I think it's Chelsea pointed out to her, you know what this is? This is the reason that Mickie James is still here. Your selfishness cost us the retiring of Mickie James. And then I think Chelsea and Deanna were about to break up with Giselle, and Giselle broke up with them first. And then after Giselle walked away from them, Deanna made the announcement for us that next week Chelsea Green will have the opportunity to be retiring Mickie James in a one-on-one match.
Yeah, I thought it was funny because I already expected Vex to break up with Giselle because of the loss last week. And like she got ahead of them. And even Deanna pointed out, she's like, you're basically the reason why the Influence broke up too. And like now this is happening. So it's like you had two breakups in a row like this. But yeah, I thought it was interesting. And even like of everything that happened, that whole match, the only thing that Giselle remembers holding that championship, which I thought was funny to begin with, if you think about it that way. I love the picture though, by the way. Great picture, Giselle, though. That's a good one. But yeah, because I read the spoilers. Yes, I read the spoilers. A little bit of it, not much. I was not expecting this to play out the way it did. I thought this was the end for somebody else. But, we'll speak on that next week, hopefully. But yeah, I thought it was interesting that they just did this in a back 6-7. And just, yeah, we're done. And we have 2 matches with her, and just like, no, we're done now. We're good. But I like even Chelsea pointed out, I was like, if anything, like I'm gonna retire Mickie James next week. Like if nobody's gonna do it, I'm gonna do it myself. And that is interesting from a heel. From like finally in a way she's like standing up and being that brave person, and just I'm gonna face Mickie James myself. Good luck next week, Chelsea.
I like that it's brought the story full circle too, because the
Mhm.
whole last rodeo, and they keep mentioning it, but the whole last rodeo started because of Chelsea defeating Mickey twice. And so for this to come around now and Mickey to be going through and saying her next loss is her last, and Chelsea to be like, I've already beat you twice, I'm gonna be the one to put you down, it definitely is playing out in a way that is fun to see and should make for another epic encounter between those two ladies next week.
Yeah, and especially saying I love seeing my girl just just a show on Friday. I caught a little bit of it, so I had to go back and watch it. But I think it's pretty cool for her to do that, to do the PW show on Friday, though.
Yeah, I missed the show here on Friday. Other commitments, other things going on in my life, but I'll definitely be trying to catch it at some point here, because Giselle Shaw was one of the first local wrestlers I ever saw in the Edmonton pro wrestling scene, and she was somebody that I was an instant fan of. So definitely love seeing her making the rise to the top, and it's always nice to see when she can make it back to Edmonton here to give us another show live.
Mm-hmm.
Once we finished this, and I'm going to pass this one back to you, but we had Savannah Evans and Tasha Steeles make their way out to the ring. Tasha Steeles quickly grabs a mic, mentions last week Savannah got her appetizer. This week, who's going to be her main course?
Yeah, I love having Tasha starting with those lines like that. It's very catchy when you first hear them, especially being like seven is like the cannibal. So I love hearing that end of it at first. And it just reminded me of like how everything played out last week and how we came full circle tonight with everything. We had JesSICKa come out of all people. JesSICKa was sick enough to come out, and
sick.
and face Savannah. I did enjoy one thing in the main thing of the whole show, that it was a good back and forth between these two. Even though there was a moment like it would kind of be Savannah in control, and then it will go back to JesSICKa and then Savannah, but they had a good back and forth for a little while there. So I felt like it was pretty much equal almost most of the match. I believe, if I'm mistaken, Tasha was getting in on the apron, and then that's when Taya came in and assisted, and Rosemary gave her the spear as well. And even with the distractions, Savannah still won. And it's something that I thought from the beginning, since JesSICKa came out, I thought, are we going to have JesSICKa lose just because that way Savannah and Tasha earned that title match because of this? And I kept thinking, are you going to really have your champion lose in this match? Exactly what happened. I don't know why from the get-go I kept thinking, yeah, this is not it for her. But yeah, it just Savannah just wins the match against JesSICKa. So I thought it was interesting because we haven't seen the death dolls in what 2-3 weeks now. I think 2 weeks, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
and then it just happened.
Exactly as Bobby brings up there. Yeah, Taya was on the show tonight. She was ringside for the match with JesSICKa, but she was out there. Got a little physical for sure. I was in the same boat. So this is our third match of the night at this point. And it's our third match where I didn't know who I thought was going to win it. So already I'm loving this show at this point. We've got, Uemura and Black. We've got King and Speedball. And now we've got Savannah and JesSICKa. And I felt like it was going to be a showcase for Savannah, and that she probably would win it. But I was in the same boat as you. Like, are they actually going to have the tag title, one of the tag title champions, take a pinfall here? Or is it going to be something that ends in like maybe a DQ finish or a double DQ or a no contest or something like that, just with all the chaos happening at ringside and stuff? But it was an absolutely amazing match. Great back and forth between them. They put on a powerhouse showcase between two very strong women. And yeah, it was outside distraction, Tasha on the apron. As you said, Taya ripped her off the apron. I think Tasha then took out Taya, but then Rosemary snuck up from behind for the spear. It was enough to distract JesSICKa that she turned around into a big boot and then a full Nelson bomb that Savannah takes the W. Likely setting us up in a position here where we're going to see Tasha and Savannah versus Taya and JesSICKa.
I think they confirmed it for Overdrive, if I'm not mistaken. So
if they did, I had my head turned and missed it because I missed a little bit of where they were announcing the upcoming matches there. So
let's see. Yeah, Overdrive.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then coming out of that match, we got a brief Killer Kelly clip backstage as well. So we did get a lot of women all in a row on this show. That we had the Giselle and Vex segment. We had Savannah, Tasha, the Death Dolls, and then Killer Kelly.
Yeah, and I wanted to point this out that Bobby is saying that Ty was the first ever female competitor in the MLW Battle Riot tonight as well. So look at her getting booked everywhere. She was making an impact over in MLW as well. I think it's funny that Parrish is saying this. No, Joe Henry. Yeah, what the heck? I was telling Cody.
Parrish,
I know Parrish said
Parrish.
something like "I
Do,
believe," and I just wanted to clap it out.
do we want him to appear? Like Astrid just said his name. He's gonna appear now, okay?
Yeah, sorry. I got a duck.
I missed who it was. Did you happen to catch who it was, the other female in the clip with Killer Kelly?
I heard the way she said her name. She said Sandra, and then she said, "Oh, fresh meat" or something along those lines. I thought was interesting.
I heard Killer Kelly say fresh meat, and then she kind of licked her lips and walked away. I missed the name of who it was that was talking to her, though. So potentially we'll get a Killer Kelly squash match next week as she destroys the fresh meat.
Most likely.
And then a great segment from Steve Macklin backstage. Just talking. It's a lot of the same stuff he's been saying, but I feel like he makes a lot of good points, and he always makes it an intense promo whenever he's on the screen. Just talking about how he's sick and tired of everyone jumping the line, how he's beaten Sami Callahan, he's beaten Moose, he's beaten Jay White, he's beaten Chris Sabin, but now Bully Ray politics his way into the Battle Royal and wins the Collier shot, and then Frankie Kazarian comes jumping in with the option C, and Bobby Fish, who hasn't even been here for 5 minutes, just walks in and asks and gets given a title shot. And he's done waiting, and he's going to take his own shot. I think we're all Team Macklin at this point. I think Steve Macklin is the guy, and I said it on our first episode, and I'll say it again. I think Macklin is the guy that should take that title off of Josh Alexander eventually. I love how the story is just being drawn out and played out, that they're really making him work to get to that point, and he's going to have to just destroy the roster and just come for Josh's head. Tag him, bag him, caught in the crosshairs, all the fun stuff to get that title around his waist. But I think Macklin has grown leaps and bounds in the last year he's been in Impact, and I think he will make a great world champion when they decide to pull that trigger.
Yeah, I like how he kept just listing the people off. First, the people that he faced, and then the people that are lining up against Josh right now. He's like, well, we got Bully, and then we got Cass, and then Bobby, who was here for 5 minutes, and then he's gone. But, I like how he mentioned that part of Bobby Fish as well. I kept thinking, it is his time. And it's just something that I think is already interesting when you think about it from his build-up. It has to pay off with him winning that title. And I think it will be more than satisfying to go against somebody like Josh and beat Josh, who's had a good run already, and he's exactly what we wanted it to be as champion. But I think at the same time, you're thinking when you want that somebody new, you want somebody like Steve to be the next champion there after him.
The only thing with this that's a little bit of a hindrance for me is that it's very similar to what they did with Macklin when Trey was the X Division champion. Where he was chasing and he kept getting put in all the triple threat matches, and he was never the guy that got pinned, but still kept losing the matches. And so he kept getting so close, but never actually getting his fair one-on-one shot. And I think Macklin does a really, really great job of being the guy chasing. I'm just concerned. Like, I'd love to see him in that position where he has the title and see how he runs with it, because he never got the opportunity with the X Division title. But there's a slight concern just of the fact of how he will handle it when he's no longer being chased. He's no one doing the chase. He's the one being chased.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of giving him the opportunity to see how it plays out, not only for him and his character, but on TV as well, and how the fans react to it. So just give him the opportunity to see how it goes.
Yeah, for sure. And let's go back to Parrish's comment. Throw it back on stage now, because after we finished Macklin's segment, we got a major players segment with Brian Myers and Matt Cardona backstage talking about Heath and Rhino. I feel like they made a comment about opening up the seniors home or the retirement home here at some point, about letting Rhino around, and then talking about the redheaded rebel Heath making a comment about how after Overdrive, when they beat them for the titles, they'll never have to say his name. And out pops Joe Hendry. Straight out of a fridge that was behind Brian Myers.
Oh, gosh.
I love this. I loved it was unexpected. I didn't really see Joe Hendry in this position. Jumping right to the line for the Digital Media Championship. I did love him talking to the title, though. Telling the title is, I'm sorry, your father is not more present in your life. I want it. I really do. I never knew I wanted it until he popped out, but I believe in Joe Hendry.
Be careful behind you. And you too, Ed.
I want him as a digital media champion. I'm looking forward to this match. I think him and Brian Myers are going to be a great test to see how good Joe Hendry really is, to put him in the ring with the most professional wrestler and hopefully walk away with the title so that Myers and Cardona can focus on their tag titles.
Thank you, Troy, for stopping by. Troy has a great podcast. If anybody hasn't checked it out, by the way, before I forget. And I don't know what that means, but there you go. That's for you, I guess. And Joe Hendry is built for this championship. But yeah, it's just, I never thought about it. And then this happened. You know, they're just talking, oh, Myers going to be a double champion after Overdrive. Sure. I'm like, that's all good so far. And he's like, say his name. And I'm just in my mind thinking, oh no, where is he coming from? Where's he coming from? And they just came out literally out of nowhere. I was not expecting, at least where he came out of the fridge. But yeah, I love that little bits of him talking to the head of the where he was. He's just like, you're like, yeah, I'll have you soon, and you'll be mine pretty soon, kind of thing. So I like the way he just spoke to it. And then after he left, I like how even Cardona says, "That guy just came from the fridge." Just like, finally, somebody points out that he just comes out of nowhere in these random places backstage. Is everybody else blind except Cardona? Thanks.
It was Cardona where he's like, who was that guy? And why was he in the fridge?
He didn't say his name, though, if you notice, though. They said just the line, say his name, and that was it. There was no Joe Hendry spoken from either one of them in that, too. So I thought that was funny.
Even the music cut, right? When they said it, it was just, say his name and he appears.
And I never thought of like what championship could actually fit with Joe Hendry. So now that I see this, you say, I'm not mad at it. I want to see how that goes. So I'm looking forward to it now.
Yeah, I think the Digital Media Championship being kind of that, especially the fact that it's been mostly a BTI title up to this point, and I don't think that this match was promoted as being a BTI match. So I don't know if it's going to become more of a main show match, or if they're going to put this match on the main show, and then maybe Joe Hendry becomes our kind of running BTI special going forward. Either way, more Joe Hendry on my screen, and if it means I have to tune into BTI each and every single week, I will continue doing so. I've done it the last 2 weeks now for the X Division matches. I'll keep doing it.
I was going to say, at least so far with the lineup and what they posted after the show ended, they have it on for next week. It's not on BTI, so I think it's interesting.
I put a note here, and I think this is where it happened, but I didn't really take a ton of notes. My only note that I have here after the major player segment is PCO versus Eddie is cinematic, I guess.
I feel like I had a love-hate relationship with this segment, because I thought, yeah, that's interesting. It's like just in the dark, in the middle of nowhere, I guess. But at the same time, it was just the scenery with both of them. I thought it looked interesting, because we don't get any scenery like that very often. And when he just takes him out on the rock, and then just even like PCO doing the chokeslam on the rock, on not Dwayne Johnson, just A-Rock, just to point that out, I'm just saying, to Eddie. And yeah, just the way he was just like throw him down. He's like, I'm just going to bury you alive, and literally in a desert with nobody around. So I was like, interesting. I didn't think about it that way.
Yeah, I thought I liked cinematics. This definitely kind of put a damper on the cinematic for me. It was, I don't know. It was a lot like how Taker versus AJ was filmed, but not nearly as good. I like Eddie. I'm not a huge fan of PCO, but I appreciate what he has to offer. I felt like this had a lot more that it could have been than what it actually ended up being. a lot of the cuts were kind of weird. The rock that they were hitting each other with, the shovel or whatever it was that Eddie pulled out of nowhere, and then like he shoveled like 4 scoops of dirt on him, and then next thing you know, they cut and he's buried in dirt, and I'm like, I don't know. I think I would have preferred this to just be like a hardcore mayhem match of some kind. Maybe we'll get to it. Maybe we'll still get that in the long run. PCO will come back and something. Who knows? He's PCO. He's never actually dead. He's the French-Canadian Frankenstein out here. Yeah. This match didn't do it for me. It really, like, they cut a couple segments earlier on in the night of kind of Eddie out in the desert yelling for PCO to come out and meet him out there, and then PCO shows up and something happened, and next thing you know, PCO is buried in dirt.
Yeah, that's why I had a lot. That's why I had a love-hate relationship with it, because I thought the scenery was interesting, but the way they played it off, it wasn't it for me. And before I leave, I wanted to point that out because even Parrish is taking notes. Can you believe that, people? The man is changing.
Parrish taking notes. It's hard for Parrish to take notes when he doesn't watch the program.
And he's taking notes like on a notebook, not even like me on my notepad, on my iPad or my phone or my computer. So, yeah, I'm just letting you know that. And boy, I thought about this, Ed. This is where Impact versus Hardy and Borash. I thought about that, actually. I was thinking of those like kind of cinematic scenery where we had with Borash and Matt Hardy. So I thought it was interesting that the way they did this, and even the lighting and stuff, it's like, it was so dark. Really? That it had to be like that? And just like you said, it's the way they pointed is like, here, he just like threw like 2 scoops of dirt, and he's like, I'm gonna bury you alive. And the next up, he's just done. And it's okay. Thanks. That was it. I expected more, especially from both of them, but I feel like it was okay. And Barry here with a comment, Impact must be annoyed they signed PCO 20 contract extension, and Eddie Edwards also kills it and buries it.
Right?
Well,
thanks for joining us, though, Barry. Love to see you in the comments there. But yeah, I mean, how do you sign a guy to a new extension and then just he gets buried in the like Nevada desert? Now they have to go and figure out how to revive him without Vincent under contract.
Oh, good luck with that one then. I'm just saying. Yeah.
Anyhow, moving on. Taylor Wilde was on the show.
Getting wrestled this time.
No, I mean, it was the best Taylor Wilde moment we've had in 3 weeks. Trying to be in Mickey's corner, telling Mickey, you know, Deanna's obviously going to be in Chelsea's corner. I want to be out there. Mickey tells her, I got to do this on my own. I know what Deanna's about. I'll figure it out. I'm going to do this. But ultimately setting up that Taylor Wilde is waiting on the other side to be Mickey's next opponent if she gets through Chelsea. Not much to that. I think we all kind of saw that was coming.
Yeah, I just thought it was, I wonder how it'll play out with Taylor not being at ringside. If she does come out during the match, not to really cost it to Mickey, but kind of to help Mickey defeat Chelsea next week, perhaps. Because I want to see how she'll get involved, being that Mickey didn't want her there. So maybe if she does help Mickey in a way, and Mickey's not going to like that when she notices that Taylor helps her, like that kind of scenario is what played off in my head. And then when they face each other, she was like, oh, I'm mad at you because kind of like my victory over Chelsea is tainted because you helped me. That's what I kept thinking, because it'll give us that kind of like interesting dynamic between them when they actually face each other, probably the week after that.
Yeah, either that or possibly an overdrive match. That's the way that they've been building Mickey and Taylor. I could see that being Mickey's overdrive match coming up.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's necessarily going to be an overdrive quality match. I don't know if it needs to be on an exclusive or if it could just be an Impact match, but I definitely feel that's kind of the way it looks like we're heading for them.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, we had a really big match that's been a few weeks coming now. We finally got the showdown between Eric Young and Sami Callahan. First thing I had to note here, though, because I don't think I've brought it up yet. I don't think I've really acknowledged that it happened. Did Diener lose his first name?
No, I think I've heard it, but they just kept like kind of just highlighting him as Diener more than anything.
When they came out, it was Eric Young with Diener. and I haven't heard them call him Cody Diener in quite a while now that I'm thinking about it. So I feel like he's lost the Cody. So maybe I get to be the only Cody now.
Hey, good for you.
This was a brutal match. It's something I don't think this story's finished. I think it's definitely something that's going to play out a little longer here, but it was a very hard-hitting, brutal match between these guys, as you'd expect. Both are known for being prone to violence, obviously violent by design, and the Death Machine. It just makes sense. Match ended early, ring surrounded by all the yellow hoods that have been the designed, that are following Eric Young. They all come in and gang up. I think there was about 12 or 15 of them ganged up on Sami Callahan, beat him down. Eric Young and Diener line up behind, pull two of the hoods forward, and reveal the newest members of Violent by Design.
It just, well, the way I played it off, I kept remembering what happened last week when EY just talking to basically the void because you didn't know who was on the other end by the camera angle. But I remember reading the spoilers. But I didn't read this one, so I thought it was interesting the way they played it off. Because I kept thinking, okay, now we have 4 against 1. So who's really going to join in Sami to make this equal somehow? So I'm just that's kind of how I kept thinking it just happened. And to think is, Alan Angels, I was not expecting him to be a part of it to begin with. So that one shocked me, to be honest. The other one I didn't know about it. I don't know if you want to talk about that end of it. I just remember this man as the man when I met him here in Orlando, when he told me that my name was beautiful. So that's all I'm sticking with. I'm good. Oh my God.
Yes. EY is a better cult leader than Bray Wyatt. Because Bray Wyatt only has 6. Eric Young has like 15 or more.
I was going to say 15 for the moment.
Yeah, and that's a lot of yellow hoods. Yeah. No, Alan Angels was definitely a big surprise, especially since he was just on the show in that match last week. Big Con, a.k.a. Connor of the Ascension, was somebody I hadn't really thought about. Letty, it's okay. It was something that is nice to see. I like to see that Con is still out there. He's still going. I know we had him in that one-off match with Josh Alexander earlier in the year. Definitely glad to see him getting back in there again. Hopefully this means that he's signed a fairly lengthy term deal with Impact, that he's going to be around for a while. I actually, when he stood up beside EY and Diener, just based on his size and his height, there was a moment there that I thought it might have been Joe, that there was a surprise of Big Joe coming back. But Big Con is somebody else that can obviously step into that big man role and be a nice heater for the group. For, Diener and EY and even Alan Angels are some pretty small guys all in all. So having that big man there to have their back again really strengthens the VBD back to the top of the staples lineup in Impact.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting additions to it, and it just makes me wonder if they'll keep adding more people later on and kind of reveal the people in the hoodies as it kind of happened tonight. But yeah, I kept thinking, who else is going to show up and be part of the cult afterwards? And it's going to join in with Sami to fight against them eventually, because we got to have backup somehow. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and Barry's got it right. Angel and Connor are both decent signings to add the depth back to the roster here. That 2 strong guys. I mean, obviously you're not going to be able to keep big stables around unless you start bringing more guys in. So I think Impact is just in a state of flux right now, where we're going to see a few more of these possibly guys who've been around and maybe not sticking for long term. Maybe some smaller names getting some exposure, like a Speedball once again. Bring a couple more of these younger Canadian guys or younger small market guys in to really give them a chance to shine. We got another backstage segment. Jordan Grace entering her locker room, and Giselle had posted all of her photos of herself with the title all over the wall behind her, or over the couch in the dressing room. And Jordan walks in, obviously, like, I liked how she made the comment in the first place as she opens the door, and she's like, I really need to get a lock. And then Jay Vidal is in there and snaps a photo of Jordan's reaction as she sees all the pictures. And Jordan's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Well, Giselle wanted a photo of this moment for her, like to see it." And Jordan basically throws Jay around and intimidates him and sends him back saying if Giselle really wants a title shot, she can have it next week. Basically confirming that that's what we're getting next week as well. So we have Mickey and Chelsea, and we have Giselle and Jordan on the same card, which for a regular weekly Impact, 2 weeks, not even 2 weeks, this next week will be a week before Overdrive. That's a hell of a ladies lineup to have on the same card.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah. What do you think of the match, like, going into it?
I think it's interesting with the timing of it and with the ladies. I wonder if Deanna's gonna get involved in a way, just because Deanna was the one that kept pointing out, I was like, this is the reason why we lost the match. So I feel like she's the one that kept pointing out how salty she was about losing the match, which I get, to be honest. But yeah, I wonder who will come in and kind of like interrupt it in a way, because this is just one type of match that I feel Jordan's not gonna lose this title to Giselle. So who else is going to come in there and kind of interrupt it to build up towards maybe Overdrive, or maybe either make it a three-way where whoever interrupts it, or does Giselle just get a rematch at Overdrive? Because I think it'll be interesting to have Overdrive without the Knockouts Championship involved.
Now, somebody we haven't seen in a few weeks. Do we see this next week in this match where maybe we get a whistle and we get a Masha showing up?
Hey, I'm like, she's got enough time off. Bring her back, please.
Masha hasn't been around for about a month now. Last we saw her was Bound for Glory when she lost that match. I don't know what her deal with Impact is. I don't think I've heard anything about her contract being up or anything, that I think she's still under contract with them. So I think we've gone a fair enough time without seeing her that maybe, you know, she's smashed Giselle's face in once already, that maybe she comes out and disrupts this match to set up a rematch with Jordan for an Overdrive match.
Yeah, I can see that happening too.
Yeah. We got a little bit more Bully Ray. Actually, it was a nice relief that we didn't actually have anything Bully Ray related until kind of the last half hour of the show, when we got into Moose versus Ace Austin. Obviously set up from last week when Moose succeeded at tripping Chris Bay and trying to frame Bully for it. These two, the size difference and the power versus speed difference, it can be done well in certain situations, and I felt like they did have a decent contrast, but I still felt like this was a very storyline match. What did you think?
Yeah, I feel like more than anything, it did highlight for me more about Moose being the douchebag, as they would keep pointing out, and just kind of highlighting Ace's quickness. But it just felt more like this is just to build up that storyline and to ignite more of that fire between Bully Ray and Moose after what happened. So I feel like I enjoyed the match, but it just felt like it was definitely that stepping stone in the storyline. Oh my God, Ed.
We'll throw it up on the screen. I feel like this is a hot take by our friend Ed Fries. I can't say I agree with it, but it's a take, that's for sure. Ace Austin as a budget Matt Taven is Ed, you're gonna rile some feathers there, I think. Ace Austin is a hell of a talent, but I don't know if I'd call him a budget Matt Taven.
Oh my God.
And then just Barry as well. Masha is one of the best young women wrestlers around today, and Impact need to do everything they can to keep her. I could not have said it better than myself.
Yeah. I can't get over Ed's comment.
I'm a pass to you here, because I feel like you took better notes on the lineup for next week. So run us down. What do we got on the show next week?
So I got trans people. So that's definitely happening on Impact. And then we got Brian Myers versus Joe Hendry. Be careful behind you for the Jitomita Championship. And then Jordan and Giselle Knockouts Championship. And then Mickey and Chelsea. I think that's all I got for next week.
Okay, so we didn't actually get confirmation of Black Jerus and PJ Black then.
No, then I think they mentioned it next week, but I don't think I saw it in the graphic though.
Yeah, I didn't have it down as anything that I saw in the graphic either. So it may be something where we're just getting Trey and Bailey next week and Taurus and PJ the following week, right before Overdrive.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe it's a BTI thing and they didn't mention it. But either way, that's still coming. We didn't get confirmation of anything for Killer Kelly, but I think we're expecting that she may murder some fresh meat.
Yep. Rest in peace to was it Sandra? That one.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll only remember your name until you're squashed, and even then we might not remember it that long.
Yeah.
And then Overdrive, I think we have all that's official for Overdrive so far is Frankie versus Kaz, and then the tag match, right? The ladies tag match, and the men's tag match.
Yeah, those are the three that I have.
Yeah, and obviously we'll probably be looking at the X Division tournament final to finish up that night as well.
No. I just like Barry's comment talking to PJ Black. He's slowly morphing into Johnny Swinger. Oh gosh, I feel like I see them morph together now.
I mean, has anybody been down there? Can we confirm that PJ Black hasn't been in Swinger's Dungeon all this time?
I mean, that would explain his absence.
Oh boy. Always appreciate your comments, Barry. You keep me laughing, that's for sure. Main event time. We have Aussie Open versus Josh Alexander and Frankie Kazarian. Take it away.
Great. No, I'm kidding. I love how they pointed things out, like kind of comparing Josh and Cass throughout the whole match, because this was it. It was just that story between them. They kept showing the families. You saw Tracy and Cass's son, and you kept seeing Jade here with Jet, like right next to each other, just like they did before with Alicia. So I thought that was interesting. It's like they kept going like, oh, they're both family guys. They're both inspired by their families, and they work hard because of their families. Okay, we got the picture. But I like how there was instances that they actually like helped each other in ways. There was a point towards the end when I noticed that Josh just right hand, I think it was Fletcher if I'm not mistaken, and Fletcher was laid out. So I'm thinking he's going for the pin, but no, he literally drags himself to the corner to tag in Cass for that hot tag towards the end of it. And I also noticed that I feel like maybe WWE would have done something differently, and this is what I expected because of WWE. But one of the guys from Aussie Open was with a submission with Josh on this side, and then the other one with Cass on this side. And this one trying to get off, he just pushed Josh onto Cass. So I kept thinking if this was WWE, they would have just gone to each other, started pushing each other. There was a whole match, and that would have ended that way. That's how I kept thinking it was going to end until it didn't. So I was surprised that I was like, well, I'm glad it didn't play out the way I had it in my mind. But I like how they kept comparing them. It just like in their careers to each other, both being guys in tag teams and both family guys. And I love towards the end that face off they had and the way they won it in the double submission stuff and little spots like that they had through the match that I really enjoyed together.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a strong showing of a match. It was a strong story building. I get what you mean about the way we've kind of just come to be almost accustomed or trained to see things through the WWE lens. So it's nice when Impact breaks the mold and kind of takes away from what you expect and does something more unique and more unexpected or original. I feel like I took away from this match a little bit different, that I thought it was something where, and I don't even think Tom or Matt really brought it up too much on commentary, but it felt like Aussie Open really wrestled this match from a standpoint of a cohesive, long-formed, hard-working, like live together, ride together, die together team. And then what I saw from Josh and Frankie was two guys who are very accustomed to tag team wrestling, know how to work with a partner and trust a partner and like make the tags when you need the tags, look out for your partner, that kind of stuff. But they weren't as cohesive. They weren't as well oiled of a machine, that there was still a little bit of rust almost between them, that they didn't know all of each other's movements and had to kind of go with the flow a little bit more. And I would have appreciated that as a part of the storytelling, but I definitely picked up on that throughout the match. That's how it felt as I was watching it.
Yeah, I want to point out, Ed, I didn't say I didn't like the storyline, just the angle, if you want to call it, just in case. No, I just thought it was interesting that they kept pointing that out. It's like they're both family guys, and they keep pointing out their families through the whole match as it was happening. And I did want to go back to Barry's point. I really hope they give Aussie Open a couple wins after losing to a makeshift tag team. I thought of that too when the match started. Just like, well, they're not going to have Josh lose, matches with like this before the pay-per-view happens, and I feel like obviously Cass wouldn't get pinned anyway. So I automatically thought Aussie Open's going to lose this somehow, and then I kept thinking they lost not too long ago, so I feel like it's time for them to get back and get some wins. I'm hoping that whenever they decide to come back, they do pick up some wins, because I definitely thought about those losses while the match was happening too.
Yeah, I think they're too good of a tag team to continue losing like this. Obviously, they've lost to Motor City Machine Guns, who are an all-timer tag team, and now they lost to the world champion and the number one contender teaming together in a very solid match where they were very close to having it won a couple different times. Having them come back and wrestle some other people, though, might be a big thing. Or if they're just here for their one-offs once in a while and not actually planning to stick, there's still a really strong team with a strong record other places to pop in and put on great matches and put other teams over too.
And going back to the point, who made Aussie Open look better, AEW or Impact? Oof.
I mean, you watch more AEW than I do. The only time I saw them was their last match of the Trios tournament. I thought they looked decent, but I think they've looked better in Impact.
Yeah, I just when I think of Aussie Open and AEW, I keep thinking of what Kenny was saying in his promo afterwards. So they kept bashing their leader, so it didn't paint it in a good light for me. And I feel like they left it like an open book kind of thing, because not much happened, and I feel like they can come back anytime soon. So I feel like even though they've lost, we've seen more of them in Impact to like really want more from them and want, like we said, we want them to come back and have those wins. So for me, it goes to Impact.
Yeah, I think Impact, especially with Tom and Matt on commentary, putting over the long list of accomplishments that Aussie Open has in all of their history, everywhere they've been in the world, I think that paints them in a really strong light. And after the Trios match with the Elites, Aussie Open and Will Ospreay, just to bring guys like that from outside your company in and have them in such a high profile spotlight position, and the last taste you give of them is Kenny Omega basically ripping apart and destroying every ounce of credibility they have. You're not doing them any favors by bringing them to America, putting them on a top level promotion like AEW, and then just tearing them down and making your audience feel like they're not worth the time. It's definitely better to be someplace where you're left with the taste. Even though they lost, they're still a team that you should be finding where they wrestle regularly and watching them there.
And I feel like they really highlight their careers, and they don't have anybody bashing them for what they do or bashing anybody in the group whatsoever. So to me, I feel like Impact highlights them a lot better in that sense. The way they highlight their accomplishments and where they're coming from. So just like, even if you don't watch them, it makes you want to watch them because you're thinking, oh, I like what I saw tonight. So it's like, I want to see more of those accomplishments happen afterwards. So.
Yeah, even the earlier segment with Motor City Machine Guns putting them over, like they're a really strong tag team. Like they really tested us and took us to our limit. Like we beat them, but they're still a damn good team. You're in for a test tonight to Josh. And then like last week when Josh and Frankie decided to team up for it, they're like, Aussie Opens, they're looking for a challenge. They're looking for the best. Well, we're the best. Let's give them a challenge. Like it wasn't we're going to squash them. It wasn't you're awful. Like you have no position. You shouldn't be here. We're going to kick you right back out of Impact, back to where you came from. It was, you're a damn good tag team. We're going to bring you a test and we're going to test ourselves against you. And that's how I feel like anything like this, like Taz coming from AEW, being in a number one contender position as well. And just Yu Uemura coming in and everything like that is something where it's a case of, making the other team look good. I have to jump to the door for a second, so I will be right back.
Yeah. But no, that's why I think about the point that it's interesting when you think about it, that I feel like Impact does highlight them better, because even if they lose, I like the performance. I like what I watch, so it makes me want to watch more from them, versus like I just feel like AEW just like bashed them and then they were out the door. So I feel like they were not there enough time to make an impact. There you go. But yeah, I think it's interesting the way that Impact just highlights them, and I just want to see more from them. I hope, like Harry was saying, that they do come back and get some wins because I feel like they really need it at this point. But not only needing them, but they're also entertaining to watch. So.
Sorry, somebody's food delivery that wasn't for me. Anybody order me Boston pizza because I will take it.
You should have.
No, I don't know what I missed while you were saying while I was away, but anything else to add for the show?
No, it's like I feel like tonight was pretty well done the way they booked it. There was less bully race. So I was automatically happy with that. I don't mind that Impact show. But no, I like how it was just, I feel like it added more to the storylines that we got. I feel like the only part that was not negative, but it wasn't exactly the best for me, was definitely that like PCO Eddie Edwards thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Why didn't you, Ed?
Yeah. What the crap, Ed? Same question I ask you every week. Who was your impact maker for the week?
Ooh. This one's I think it'll be my what's it called, the makeshift or whatever, the dollar version of Matt Taven, Ace Austin. Is that what you called them earlier, Ed? I think between him and Speedball, I would say that, because I like how Ace was wrestling and how he highlighted his quickness against Moose, but I also like watching Speedball. He amazes me every time I see him.
Yeah, both solid choices. Both had great matches. My impact maker, I'm going to go off script a little bit here, and I'm going to say both Savannah and JesSICKa. I felt like that match put both of them over, that they both looked fantastic. Savannah in the win, JesSICKa in defeat. It was a really, really strong showing. Both women. I didn't really see many missteps or anything that really exposed either one. I think Savannah looked really, really good being put in that position to go over, and JesSICKa really did a solid job of putting her over.
Yeah.
And being our only women's match of the night, it was a damn good match. I didn't necessarily miss the fact that we didn't have any other matches. We had a lot of segments setting up to 2 great matches for next week, but we also got a great unexpected match tonight out of it.
Yeah, very true.
That said, where can we find you, Astrid?
I have to think about it for a moment. I keep forgetting what day it is. Tuesdays you can find me doing taking over with Parrish. Even though we're not on OLE, I have to point that out. So I'm glad they always highlight us the way they do. So I definitely want to highlight them back. They have Turnbuckle Talk on Tuesdays, and they have taking over with Parrish and myself. And then I know they have Bobby doing MOW before us. That's why he rated us earlier tonight. And we have people like Mel Ball, my bestie Mel Ball and Andre, who do very great content of New Japan and Stardom on the YouTube channel that I want to get. I want them to highlight it more often as well. And Ed, who just had the first episode of Variant Wrestling Realities. Oh, I got it. I thought I was gonna miss the. I keep thinking of the initials. So I thought I was gonna miss the name, but no, it was really entertaining to watch their stuff. So just, even though we're not on OLE, we're always supporting everybody there, and we'll obviously be helping out as we can there with the content as well. So it's nice to we're working with so many different people. I have Parrish on Tuesdays, I have Mel on Fridays, and I have you on Thursdays. So I love that I get to work with my favorite people. So I just wanted to point that out.
And then you have a ton of other friends on Astrid Asks.
Well, those are guests, but yeah. But yeah, I'm definitely here on Thursday, back again next week with you. On the weekends, I have my Women's Wrestling Talk NXT review. And then tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern, before I forget the time, episode 2 of Ladies Wrestling Showcase will be premiering on my YouTube channel. We're going to be talking about PWI's Women's 150. I keep thinking of 100 for some reason. It's 150. And then Saturday, I am dropping my Astrid Asks episode 10, which is with Billy Starks. So I'm really excited about that one too. So subscribe to my YouTube channel and ring the bell so you get notified when I upload that. But that's it for me. Where can the people find you? I keep thinking I'm in the other way. Sorry.
I mean, this is the best place to find me. This is the place I am every single week, every Thursday, right here, 10:30 Eastern, 8:30 Mountain, talking Impact Wrestling with you. It's where I want to be. It's where I love to be. It's the program that I'm watching more than anything else, and the one wrestling thing that has maintained my attention for an extended period of time over the last couple of years. You can check me out on the Twitter at Cody Defoe, as I scroll the wrong way across the bottom here. My Twitch is also Cody Defoe. You can find me there. Definitely shout out to our friends over at OLE. Follow them. I believe it's at OLE Pods or at OLE Podcasts, depending on your social media platform. Definitely find them, give them a follow. Lots of great content over there from all of our friends that are involved with that. Obviously, Mike at Backbreaker Video allows us to work with his platform and plays our replays there Mondays if you're missing the live stream. If you ever miss the live stream, you can check out the replay Mondays on Backbreaker Video's YouTube channel, on Astrid's YouTube channel, right here on Twitch with Astrid's channel. If you're not already, follow, give us the time, and join us in the comments. We always love seeing the comments from the people that we love to see every week, and whenever we get new people, it's always great to have new commenters joining the conversation and chatting wrestling with us on Impact here. So to everybody that joined us there today, thank you very much. If you're watching this on the replay, drop us a comment. We'd love to see it. That's it for this week. That's our Impact made. Have a good one, guys.
See you next week.